and then you're gonna ask for a roll call, and Amber will ask. Yeah, you could just say, I'm gonna read it, you could just say according to the public speaker act. You can start from there. Call me to order, date, May 10th, 2023, 7 o'clock, and then we'll start the, yeah, boom, 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 and then Amber will help you, will ask for a roll call, Emily does the roll call, and yeah, that's everybody to stand for the pledge of allegiance, and a moment of silence, and then you have the presentation, all right? Once you do it once, you do it for the rest of it.
That's true.
Yep. All right, 1 minute, everybody, we're gonna start. Because you hear it, when you don't have to do it, it's like whatever, and then when else somebody to do it, even though it's not that crazy, it's kind of like. There, all yours.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order, May 10th, 2023. This is Rochelle Park, public closed session meeting.
Work session.
Work session meeting, sorry. Time is 7 o'clock. Open Public Meetings Act. According to the Open Public Meetings Act, this meeting of May 10th, 2023 was sent to the Our Town and the record and published on January 9th, 2023, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on the Rochelle Park website and Facebook page, and has remained continuously posted as the required notice under the statute, as being recorded and videotaped. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Roll call.
Committeewoman Artola? Here. Committeeman Bisetti? Here. Committeewoman Bonifaz? Here. Deputy Mayor Petrie?
Here.
Mayor Mosca?
If we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start the presentation.
Start with the presentation.
I'd like to add to the discussion of community landfill and also it wouldn't have a driveway going up the room.
The discussion section.
Yes.
Flag with the chair formally change the agenda, you can call for a motion. You'd like to, Committeewoman?
Yes, I'd like to call for a motion to change that. Just add to the agenda.
Okay. I'll make a motion with the changes.
Second.
Committeewoman Artola? Yes. Committeeman Bisetti?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bonifaz? Yes. Deputy Mayor Petrie?
Yes.
Proclamation for National Police Week. You want
All right, so we have a proclamation for National Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 2023. Proclamation National Police Week. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas during Police Week, it is appropriate to recognize the brave men and women of law enforcement who have answered the call to safeguard and protect their communities. And whereas the members of Rochelle Park Police Department work tirelessly to protect and serve the residents of Rochelle Park, enforce our laws, and keep our neighborhoods, schools, and families safe. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the members of Rochelle Park Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service and risk their lives in order to ensure public safety. And now, therefore, we, the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Rochelle Park, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim May 14th to May 20th, 2023 as Police Week, observing and commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, and May 15th, 2023 is Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers have made the ultimate sacrifice to their community, and call these observances to the attention of all our residents.
If I may, Governor,
Yes.
on behalf of all the officers currently and those before me who will work here afterwards, I thank this committee for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing presentation of a grant application for the 2022 Bergen County Trust, 2023 Bergen County Trust Fund Municipal Endorsing Resolution for the Carlock Field Municipal Park Improvements. I would like to open the floor to the public for a public hearing on the submission of a grant application for the 2023 Bergen County Trust Fund Municipal Program, whereas the Township of Rochelle Park desires to obtain a matching grant in the amount of $200,000 for the various Carlock Field Municipal Park improvements. The Township is requesting $200,000 from the Bergen County Trust Fund Municipal Program for park development, with the Township's share being the remaining $200,000.
I make the motion to open to the public. Committeewoman Otola? Yes. Committeeman Desetti?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bonifaz? Yes. And Deputy Mayor Peters?
Yes.
It's now open to the public to come up and make comments. Please come up, state your name for the record and your address. Kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Lynn Houghton, West Older Street. Okay, the first disappointment I had with the council was that it was never even mentioned prior to the grant application being printed in the newspaper. There was no discussion the week before, the meeting before, about any of these things being done at the meetings that I went to. Okay, that's the first thing. The transparency is all like behind closed doors. Anyway, the second thing is, where is all this going down at the sand pit? Somebody? No?
We don't want to cut into your time.
Hmm?
We don't want to cut into your time, so if you want to finish your question.
Oh, okay, where is it going? Because as Ms. Boniface pointed out to you with the last thing with the basketball courts, you're not allowed to cut any trees down or anything, and there were some other things they couldn't do with the grant for that was applied for. Okay, so if you're putting it down there again, it's kind of hard for us to discuss it with you when we didn't know about it, and we couldn't get the troops together to come here tonight to say, we're flooded now, we don't need that. Okay? And as far as the new pavilion, is this a new pavilion entirely, or are we just adding on to what's there? Those are my questions. Bocce courts could go at Matthews Field if they wanted. Volleyball court, you're bringing more things down in a flood area that is being strangled. If everybody showed up for all the affairs at one time, we'd be out of luck. Everybody would be swinging at each other. But think about the citizens up there getting all this flood runoff. You have artificial turf, floods, goes onto their properties. And you're always pushing to put things down there. That's it for me.
If I may, Deputy Mayor and Committee, the idea and the grant process just opened maybe about a month ago. That's why we're here tonight, to have the discussion, right, whether or not this committee wants to move forward on the application. So I reached out to Boswell. They came up with some preliminary plans. The pavilion, and let me just remind everybody, 10 cents of your tax dollar goes to Bergen County. This is only one way I can get that money back. If we don't apply for these grants, every 10% of your tax dollar you're paying to Bergen County stays with Lodi, Holland Park, Maywood, Paramus, Hackensack. So this is one way to get some of your tax dollars back to you. We are limited on what we can do. I had Boswell Engineering actually look at Matthews Field. There's not enough room up there, and that playground's in better shape according to the engineering firm that we use, right? So I said, hey, here's some of the ideas, talking to the recreation liaison, reaching out to senior citizens that approached us and said, hey, we'd love to have bocce ball courts, we have playground, so that's what I presented to Boswell, said, hey, give me some ideas. So that's where we arrived at this. The pavilions actually go where the shed is. That shed area is that small little, that parking area. First of all, it's not level. This will level that off. The pavilion will be an open air pavilion, at least provide shade during the summertime and some shelter, from snow and rain should somebody be down there during that time. Again, expanding the opportunities for residents as well as for the day camp. It'll level off that parking area, which now leads to our new ADA ramp, so let's have level ground going to level ADA ramp, which is part of the idea. The bocce ball courts will require one tree to be cut down. The projected cost is about $3,000, so that's not covered in the grant money. It'll have to be covered on the maximum side of the township. There are actually drainage going to be put in under these areas to help with any water flow or runoff from the storm or the rain. And again, that area is kind of the left field side of the field on the west Oldham side. The misting head will pretty much go right next to the existing building, and I know there's some concern, well, if we're going to do that shed, we're going to use for storage. There's actually office space down there that hasn't been used probably about 10 years with the former DARE office, and that's probably about enough size to add to the additional storage that would be needed. It's not moved by a wooden shed to supplement. What are some of your other questions? How I can help? No volleyball course. So in order to fit either bocce or with either or, so the volleyball courts have been removed in lieu of trying to provide senior citizens what they asked for, bocce courts, giving them something to do in the park area here in town. And that's why we want the bocce courses. That keeps it great.
When you have day camp in the summer, the smaller kids tend to go under the trees. You've been cutting down trees back there all year.
I don't know of one tree that was cut down that far left field.
Somebody's cutting something down back there
Cut
because
down the trees along the softball field, and we said, we'll look at it. But there has been no trees unless they fell. And I have not signed one purchase order for any tree cutting down far left.
I mean, we need trees, we need shade in parks.
Well, we're providing that open pavilion now. That's going to be at the very top again.
And that helps absorb water. And that helps absorb water.
Well, you already have the cabin down there, and we're going to provide for drainage now, so there's going to be drainage.
Yeah, drainage for the artificial turf too, but how come when it rains, all the water sits on top after everything's filled? You're working in a flood area and you want to put more things in there, and all that water that builds up there has to drain, and it's got water coming up West Oldham Street, around Verdun Street, coming up Dean Street, and you want to add more problems to the people that live there. I don't understand. Put that money, you won't get the grant, but try putting more money towards the pumping station. You're going to match that, match it with the pumping station.
Unfortunately, this grant doesn't allow for that.
Hi, Katie Stair in West Oldham Street. So the lovely area that you're speaking about is right behind my house.
I'm sorry, can you spell your last name?
Staron.
Thank you.
Yep. So I couldn't find the exact statistic, but as Ms. Houghton said, the more pavement, anything that you put up, the more flooding that's going to happen. I appreciate the fact that you're saying that some of what you're considering this time around is putting in or helping to mitigate anything that's there, but is it going to help the issue that is already there when it comes to flooding within that area and coming into our backyards, because that certainly does happen. So if it's not going to improve and only, I guess, minimize the effects of what you're proposing to put in, certainly take that into consideration because that's coming straight into our backyard. Also, I think last year when we had the same conversation about the grant, and Chief Pinto, I appreciate what you said as far as the taxpayer dollars staying with Bergen County versus coming back here. So I get that and trying to work together and figuring that out. One suggestion that I had last year was have we put out any sort of community communications as far as what are we looking for, not just with specific groups. So you mentioned the senior population is looking for more activities to be able to do down here, but in the summers when they have summer camp, no one is allowed to use that area. They can't use the park. The park is completely shut down unless it's being utilized for the camp specifically. So that mitigates an entire morning to mid-afternoon that senior citizens would be able to use that bocce ball court area. So kind of seems a little bit backwards from that stance. Also, if we're talking about what we're doing from a ADA or accessibility standpoint with the ramp, which is fantastic. The wall does look great. Why don't we do things for the playground, which needs repairs anyway, that would make it more accessible to all members of the community and people with all types of abilities, like additional ramps. There's some really great parks out there that I think we could help enhance our playground versus just adding in a pavilion or adding in a bocce ball court or anything like that, that might help to take some of those dollars instead. I know today I was working with the DPW because there were some areas within the playground that need fixed in order to be safe for our children there. So it would be really nice to see some of those enhancements go directly back to the playground and enhance it. I mean, you just said that that playground needs work. It's a great playground. It would be nice to have it even be better. So I guess my main points there are, is there anything that we're doing from a community outreach standpoint to see what we would like to see done to that field? So when we are taking into consideration grants like this to get money back for our community, what they would like to see come back there. If we are helping the flood situation or if we're just making it neutralized at that point if we're putting in anything back there, and can we do anything from an ADA standpoint if we are getting those grant dollars to make the playground a little bit more accessible across the board, even if it's putting in sign language, if there's additional ramps that could be put in there, really anything would be nice to hear from that standpoint instead of using it for a bocce ball court that in the summers can't be used for the majority of the day.
There's a walkway that's being put in, and, yeah, I appreciate those thoughts.
Diane Verhassel, Forest Place. I think the idea of improving the playground would be wonderful, because there are pieces that have been broken and whatever, and I think that'd be great. A suggestion for the bocce ball, if the seniors are the ones that are asking for it, especially since the whole summer they can't get to the field except on weekends, what about putting it right out here? They have their meetings here. They could have, near the pavilion, the gazebo. Then they could play right here. They don't have to worry about not being able to go to the field when there's, whether it's soccer, baseball, whatever on the field, or camp. They could easily go here, and nobody will be kicking them out. And then you don't have to worry about the other problems also of possibly creating flooding or not flooding or whatever. Just a thought, it'd be much better if it goes here. And just a question, that's why I was asking about the volleyball. The article that was in the paper, or the ad, I don't know what you call it, the statement, what's listed on that? Because that's where the volleyball was listed. So in other words, that's not necessarily what's going to be applied for?
Correct, the volleyball court will remove. What happened, a little confusion between myself and the engineering firm, it was an or. Or was it a volleyball or volleyball?
Okay. Because volleyball needs a lot more room, yeah.
And
we don't want to knock down the trees,
it was either
yeah.
or. It was either or.
Oh, okay. So
Which
what?
I thought it was and. So,
Okay. But just a thought, like I said, then you won't have the problems if you put the bocce, you get the money, but put the bocce ball here. Just a thought. Oh, when is the grant due? 'Cause-
May 12th,
which is this week.
correct,
So this is an introduction, but you also have to do it this week.
correct.
Oh, okay.
You have to have a public hearing.
Which is what today?
Correct.
Chris Muller, Forest Place. I always have to laugh when you do, when you're kind of rushed. Last year you were rushed too. It's due Friday. Things already written up. It's basically signed and ready to go. What will this cost us? You get a $200,000, now do we have to match that?
Correct.
Okay. And what happened to last year's grant? We got a grant last year, and where is that? Where is that?
The ADA grant.
No, there were two things,
That was,
the lighting and cameras.
I reached out to 2 other companies in reference to the lighting, and I'm waiting for their quotes to come back.
So how long do you have to do that?
With grant,
Yeah, grant.
I'm not sure.
Okay, and I know the shed there is the soccer shed, so that, whatever's in there for the soccer folks would have to be going, you thought, into that building? Well,
There's an office space that hasn't been used in about 15 years.
inside the building?
It has outdoor access.
Okay.
Another door at least from the outside.
Okay. All right, that's all, thanks.
Bob Davidson, Lexington Avenue. Just so you know, it's actually, I think you have 3 years to utilize the funding. Just, yes, but I'm pretty sure it's 3 years. So the other thing is that maybe you may want to look at amending the current one that you're putting in and doing a little bit more work with the playground area. It is starting to get old. We do know that there are some pieces back there that can be replaced. And you may want to take a look at that, the rubberized area too, because, I mean, it's been in there for several years now. And that might be, another thing that, for the safety of everybody utilizing that area. The rubberized, the matting. So that might be something else that you can do, to improve that area without having to actually do additional build. So just some suggestions.
I can tell you what looked at, that, and said it was a decent shape.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But unfortunately, I know there's some gouges in there and stuff that even if it's nothing more than doing some patchwork or whatever the case might be something to take a look at. Remember, and like it was mentioned here too, we still got to deal with the pump station. That's going to be a boatload of money. So, even if you do have to bypass 1 year, and believe me, I understand the whole situation with the bonding. If anybody does, I certainly do. But the whole point of the matter is that it's going to be a big hit for everybody. And until we know whether or not we're going to get the funding or not get the funding for for that particular project, I think we really need to be pumping the brakes here. So just something else to think about. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to close?
1 minute.
Okay.
What does it cost to put this grant in?
We hired the grant writing service.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, just because we put this in doesn't mean it has to be done. But why not apply for it? And if, we had a great year with cannabis, and I know the pump station will be about $3 million, that we know. I don't think it hurts to put it in, but it doesn't mean we have to do it. All the work is done already. It's paid for, the engineers paid for. I just want to put the grant in.
I appreciate that.
You don't have to,
And right, we have that 3 years, we can not do it. But again,
but I would
one
add
way
to see if we can add a little bit for repairs of what's there.
But can I ask a question? So just because I don't know the process, so when you apply for a grant, are you able to go back and make the changes to things after you reevaluate items? Or is it if you apply for it and you write, we are doing X, Y, and Z, that is what the money has to be used for? Because I absolutely agree with you. I would hate to see the money lost, and we know that there's certainly things that could be used to fix that area, whether it is for drainage so that we're not getting flooded out, or for improvements to the playground, or for whatever it might be. But I also don't want it to be just like last year, if we're applying for a basketball court and then that's what the money has to be used for. So clarity there would be helpful.
Typically, it's the totality of the grant is, hey, you're making improvements to the open space area, the pavilion, the playground area. And we've seen even with the current with the ADA grant, we ran some issues with the retaining wall, need to be expanded, and there was no issue. The money was there, we were able to expand that. So you're able to do something within some control.
but it's not, you get that money and then you can use it for whatever you want. It has to be used within the parameters of what you're putting there. And I forgot to ask this, I'm so sorry, I know I'm breaking protocol.
This is okay.
Has the rest of the retaining wall been checked, the other 1.5 sides?
Yes, it was. So where they saw it was leaning, we replaced. So the rest of it's level and stable, according to both the contractor and Boswell.
At the end of Theme, and then the other side of Chestnut down by where we'd have to level out the parking lot?
So that, yeah, will be actually a retaining wall built between where the shed is now. But that's, I've been told.
Okay.
Very sound and stable and level.
All right, thank you.
Does anyone else have any other comments? Okay, do I have a motion to close?
I'll make that motion. I'll second. Committeewoman Otola? Yes. Committeeman Vasselli?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bonifaz? Yes. Deputy Mayor Tucci?
Yes.
Is that the comment? No, right here. It's a
Oh.
deputy mayor.
Deputy Mayor calls for a motion to adopt resolution number 023-120 Trust Fund Application Municipal Endorsing Resolution Carlock Field, various municipal park improvements. Have a motion?
Second. Committeewoman Otola? Yes. Committeeman Vasselli?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bonifaz? As I said before, the work doesn't have to get done, but there's no sense not to apply for this. And my vote is yes. And Deputy Mayor Tucci?
Yes.
Is there any
Is there any correspondence?
Is there anything to ask anybody other amendments to the agenda?
Is there any other amendments to the agenda?
No, yeah, put that under discussion.
The item 3 under discussion
Yep.
is the discussion item for the
Community
pride
flag
flagpole
pole
and
and
the
the
agenda that will be at number 3.
So, Can I have an approval for the agenda? Can I have an approval for the agenda with the amendments?
Committeewoman Otola? Yes. Committeeman Vasselli?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bonifaz? We'll get on this right, okay? And, yes. And Deputy, that's right, and Deputy Mayor Tucci.
Yes. Okay. Up next, discussion, Bruce Rockwell, the engineer's report.
Yeah, of course.
Good evening. Bruce Rockwell from Boswell Engineering. Here to give a report. So the first project is Rochelle Avenue and Railroad Avenue intersection improvement project. And the latest update on that project is railroad issues are ongoing. County has communicated there's a delay for the project, and that's been delayed to fall of 2024. Next project, Matthew Field ADA Bleacher Improvement Project. The latest update, the township is coordinating with the contractor, Machion, for the door and its installation to finalize this project. Next project is Marina Street and 2020 Road Curb and Sidewalk Program. Latest update is we requested township notify us and receive the final payment, and then we can formally close out this project. Next project, Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund 2020 funding round. So the latest update is that this is nearing completion. The concrete sidewalk is scheduled to be poured this week. Contractor's waiting on the railing, and a temporary fence has been installed. Additional walls constructed have affected the completion timeline, but the project should be completed within 2 weeks. Next project is revaluation and digitizing the tax maps, and The assessor is continuing his work on the new block and lot numbering system. And so the request, the previous request was this would be removed from the report until the numbering system is obtained. Oldest street improvements, latest update final payment request was submitted on 4/28 by the contractor. We're in process of reviewing and preparing the final payment for the township and await the maintenance bond from the contractor. Next project is Burden Street sanitary and sewer improvements. Latest update, we are still waiting on a maintenance bond from the contractor. The next project is sanitary sewer pump station improvements. And the latest update for that project is that the design remains on schedule, and we anticipate that the design will be complete in another month, and then we will submit for permits. Howard Avenue drainage and resurfacing. So the latest update is the drainage design is 75% complete. The drainage design needs to be finalized in order to prepare the environmental permitting proposal. And then there's a restricted timeline or compressed timeline for the award of October 21st, 2023 from the oldest NJDOT grant. We're approaching this as a phase 2 project, so the drainage and roadway improvements will be first phase, and then environmental permitting will be split off into the second phase. The project will address the 210-15 and potentially the 25-year storm events to eliminate that flooding from those events. However, this will not eliminate flooding of 50, 75, and 100-year storms. These storms reach an elevation of 4 foot above the rapid elevations in these areas. Next project is El Dorado Court and Chestnut Street improvements. This project is underway with required NJDOT PMRS. The project was flagged with an overpayment of $701.65 to the contractor, and we're coordinating the contractor for reimbursement to the township. Next project, Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund, 2022 project funding. And our offices had no further involvement with this project this time, so this project will be removed from the list. Fiscal year 2023 Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities BRIC application. We have not heard back regarding grant award timeline, so the application remains pending at this time. Next project, 2023 CDBG grant application. And latest update, CDBG has advised us on 4/14. 2023, they were meeting on 4/17, 2023 to address the application. Next project is the ADA ramps with county paving project. And we met with the county on 4/28, 2023, walked down roadways within project scope and preparing the required ramp locations for county confirmation. And once those confirmations are received, we'll prepare the design sketch for each ramp. Next project is a BC Open Space grant, and we're finalizing a concept plan required for grant submission. Next project is NJDOT fiscal year 2024. NJDOT is accepting grant applications for 2024 local aid, coordinating with the DPW for the road choice, provided a not to exceed cost of $2,200 to prepare and submit the application. That's the end of the project report. Any further questions or comments for Boswell?
I just have one quick, just in reference to the 2022 CDBG grant application, those so far was awarded. Yeah, and the extra dollars.
Yeah.
I would say that too.
One thing I want to ask, and maybe Mark, you could help us out. The Matthews Field is still dealing with this, and I read right here that the current contractor, Bello, is not responding. Is there a way we can ban Bello from ever being in this town again?
So there's a process in the statute with regard to negative history of a bidder, for someone that's bidding for a project. There's certain parameters and things they need to meet to get to the standard of a negative history, and I can look into that, and let you know. If there are any other issues, which I think it's probably better to talk, maybe in closed session about that, if in fact there have been some negative issues, and then I can do some research to find out whether or not where we are meeting that standard.
Okay.
But there's a statute.
Looks like we have to look into this.
Mm-hmm.
This has been, this contractor, when he paid, yeah, let's look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Just one comment, I'll bring back the public comments to the team that I heard tonight. Make sure that we do those in consideration.
Thank you. Okay, next up.
So, very briefly, my next question, regarding the political sign ordinance, as the township committee knows, my office was contacted via letter, and email by the ACLU a number of months ago with regard to the political sign ordinance, alerting my office to the ordinance itself, as well as a recent Supreme Court decision that basically nullified and voided political sign ordinances, or ordinances that specifically critique, curtail, or limit political signs in the borough. There are certainly a number of boroughs across the state that still have political sign ordinances. It may just be that they have not been challenged yet. It is true, after my review of our ordinance, that our ordinance was problematic at the time. Hence, my office immediately initiated with the clerk and the administrator to suspend any violations with regard to that ordinance and to suspend its enforcement for all of the parameters that I think fall under issue with the recent Supreme Court decisions. The only items that were left were general restrictions that similarly apply to other signs, which is size, placement, is really what it is. You cannot have a limitation during the year, the amount, you basically can't limit the content of the sign because it infringes on the First Amendment. So what I did is I revised the ordinance to remove all the areas that I feel are problematic. I'm still looking into a couple of additional cases to make sure that the provisions that I'm leaving in there are still okay. So we're going to use the next couple of days to confirm that is the case. But what I've done at this point is remove the ones that I know are problematic and revise the ordinance accordingly. It's on for discussion today in case anybody has any questions for me. But I'm still going to look into it further, again, to make sure that the ones that, and just so you guys know, the ones that I've left in there, you can't put it on public property. Right, signs need to be placed on private property, not on public property, which is the same for anybody that wants to put a sign up. The 16-inch diameter, I have to check with Jim to make sure that that is the same for all signs, and as well as the placement, which I believe there's a setback requirement that I left in there as well. Those are the only three that I left in there. I feel like they're okay, but I need to confirm, which I'll do in the next couple of days. If I find that those three issues, or the fact that we would have it named as political sign or election sign ordinance itself is a problem, well then my decision will be that we get rid of it completely entirely. But until I confirm that, right now I've removed, like I said, the parts of it that I feel are absolutely in conflict with these decisions. So again, I'll report back to the township committee over the next couple of days if I need to further critique this or eliminate it altogether. So I don't know if there's any discussion on that, or if there's
Yep.
That's all.
So it sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, it's very possible that I'm going to need to move further with this, but just for discussion point, I want to put it forward.
Thank you. Okay, the third item, the community flagpole and the pride flag?
Yeah.
That's Linda.
In 2019, we had a resolution to establish procedure for use of the municipal flagpole. And it's got different things in it. The community flagpole and use the flag to acknowledge, celebrate, or raise awareness to various persons or group flags cannot be used for religious purposes or associated with or establishments that are evil or biased, otherwise promote I'm just looking to hang the pride flag for the month of June, on the community flagpole outside. So, I'll make a motion to hang the pride flag.
I'd like to discuss it further before.
Sure.
So, last year this had come up, and my concern isn't this specific flag, but flags in general. So that if we allow one type of flag, it, you need to be open to all flags that are requested. I had mentioned a town, I forget the name of the town, it wasn't even in the state, but, when one flag had gone up, a state had requested their flag to go up. So we open up to all kinds of flags by putting up any kind of flag. So that's where my concern lies. We had residents who offered to make choices on the flag on our behalf. I don't think that's the right way to go either. You know, we had public comment about someone offered, well, I'll figure out what flags to put up. So I don't think that's the right way to go either. I understand that this is, you know, we've had comments. We had comments last year. We had comments from public last year about how important this was. I'd be willing to compromise if we put it on the inside of the building or maybe on a signboard outside. But I'm just concerned about putting it on our flagpole opens us to, even last year when that happened, there were people said, well, what about Hispanic Month? What about, you know, like people were asking about different issues if we put up that, or not issues, but different types of things that a flag would go on. So that's really where my concern lies. If we can find another way to do it, like the signboard, like we have a flag that has been put up inside the building, maybe that's a way to go.
But the community, I'm just saying, the community donated the money to put that flagpole. Under the understanding.
Right, and I remember that, it was before I was elected, I remember those conversations, and I remember that, you know, the community did put it up, but even though the community put it there, it still opens us up to flag issues in general, and flag requests in general. And, you know, if one person requests something, do we need 100 people to request? You know, that it can get very sticky. If we have, you know, this example came up last year. We have a month that's, you know, June is Pride Month. We have, Autism Awareness Month, but
We have a flag for autism awareness. It's here.
right, but if you have a competing month, you know, that you split 15 days to one and 15 days to another, you know, there's more than one thing that June is dedicated to. There's more than one thing that February is dedicated to. So I just think, again, like making the decision, you put it up for one, you're open to put it up for all. How long do you put it up? If there's competing things, if there's, you know, if you do for one cultural background, like the Hispanic community wants theirs, well, we have other cultures and other countries represented here. How will we possibly cover them all? I understand it was a community flagpole and the heart behind it was a good thing, but again, I think it just opens us up too much, and if we could come up with creative ways to still honor those residents that would like something like this, but keeps us out of those kind of situations in the future.
So I'm not opposed to flags. Openly, I'm open for the community. I think up here, we're supposed to be for the community, and I am for every resident, and I'm for, as long as it's not like anti-something that's going to hurt people, I'm not against putting a flag up. The ordinance that you have, I read the resolution that you have. It states that the flags have to be requested by a certain date, correct?
Yes, by the beginning of the year.
So that's something that residents come to us and we would have to approve it by that date. So we would know by January, whatever the date is, we would discuss it and approve these flags to be flown. So we would know at the beginning of the year. what we're flying and what we're not, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, we also, a lot changed the last few years with the anti-police sentiment too. Now, if we put a police flag up, a lot of people are against the police, against show. So, like she said, I'm not against it either, but you have to come with a form, a week, a month. So,
Yeah, I think,
just something general, if I put a police flag up or an Easter flag up,
I think we're a
I'm not
multi,
against flags at all.
No, right.
I put
Yeah.
flags all at my house. Just in general.
I think in this town, we have various residents who have different beliefs and want to fly different flags, and I don't want to restrict anyone from any flag. To show unity in the town, which is what we're supposed to be doing, I'm for flying flags. I don't oppose, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, people have come to us and asked, people have asked me, I'm not against it. I think we can, like you said, there are months that there's various, then we have to compromise and see on those months, we split the time between the flags. You know, that's something that we compromise, like for autism, there's something else that, yeah, you fly the flags, and I don't have an issue with that.
And the township shouldn't have to pay for it.
Well, that's my other concern, is if somebody wants, if somebody wants a flag, it would need to be donated. My concern, that is my other concern. As a residents should not be bearing the cost for these flags to be flown. If someone comes to us with the flag and the township is in agreement, then yes, but the town residents should not be bearing costs for any flags that are going to go up.
Yeah, then we're gonna have discussion, and we're gonna have to make choices, and we're gonna have to, it opens us up. I mean, I like your spirit of fairness, but I really think it's gonna cost us a lot of, and then we get the first half of the month, we get the second half, I mean, it's just, I think it causes a lot of conversation, a lot of decisions, a lot of, when somebody disagrees, like, example, there are some things that we might all agree on and could indirectly offend somebody else, like a police flag or, I just really think that if we commit to this, we're gonna have a lot of questions on our doorstep. And it's going to spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, and we can inadvertently offend somebody or leave somebody out, which is more likely the case that's going to happen.
A lot of people in this world, that's what makes the world go round. Different opinions, different, that's it. Something, it's for, to share support for people. It's not only for gay people, it's for everybody. I'll make the motion to hang the pride flag in June.
I'll second. Committeewoman Ortega?
As I said, I don't want to get into business of hanging flags, so it's not against the pride flag, and it's not for hanging flags. I'm going to vote no.
Committeeman Vassetti?
I'll vote yes, but if, like the whole organization wants to come up for that month, we'll bring up for discussion to alternate month, week, day, if somebody else presents, that we can alter it that way.
The motion
You
is
don't mind opening.
just for the month of June. And if somebody else comes in and wants a flag, we can revisit.
I'll do it for it.
Committeewoman Bonifaz?
Yes.
And Deputy Mayor Fiji? Yes.
If I could just ask, the committee, who will be providing the flag?
I think you have the flag.
And I don't believe it's going to be hung outside. I don't know if
Okay,
it's signed for
I'll
that.
buy it.
That's fine. I just want to know where, if I had to go out and get it.
I'll take care of it. No, I'll get it.
I think that's part of it, has to be donated.
Yeah, it has to be donated. The taxpayers are not.
The one we have has gold fringe. and
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the inside
It's
one.
squared into it. It looks very much.
I'll get a piece flag on Friday.
I want to know if I had to go out and get it.
No, you don't.
Reports? Administrator reports?
Administrator report, yes, thank you. Week of May 22nd, to change the hours for the administrative offices, rather than 8:30 to 4:30, we want to go 8 to 4. And then doing summer hours Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 8 to 4, Wednesday, 8 to 7, giving our residents one late night, and then Fridays, 8 to 12, We'll have 2 of the employees leave early on Fridays, 1 will stay in the office till 4, and 1 person will leave early on Thursday. So we'll always have coverage in there. Most towns have done this, actually Maywood have done this full time. So again, giving our residents Wednesday nights, some might be until 7 p.m. We know it gets difficult to get here sometimes before 4:30, let alone 4 o'clock. But Fridays, the administrative office will be coming. Well, I have that right, Amber? All right. And we're going to start that the week of May 22nd. I'll probably do this for Labor Day. Again, reporting our residents. I know during the summer hours, people want their Fridays to themselves, including our residents who will be here till 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Plaza Way, another update. I know we've been having a great relationship with the Plaza maintenance people. It's been an ongoing issue, but they continue to clean up their property all the way from the Maywood Rochelle Park around the border on Pleasant Avenue, all the way down towards West Passaic Street, including Plaza Boulevard and Plaza Way. They're actually going out to bid for asphalt. The bids are due May 26th, and that's for that section of Plaza Way. That's been an absolute lunar landscape. It's been horrible, but they are on it, and I just got this update on the 9th. So again, they continue to provide good communication with us and with Dave Brown as well as with Paramus, Superintendent of Public Works. Next door is parking lot. I know there's been a lot of discussion. Again, I spoke to Mr. Di Maria in reference to that. The storage and off-site parking is not permitted in the zone. However, we would not want to grant a use variance because then we allow that anybody else to try to apply for that. So it's in common practice for municipalities, according to Mr. Di Maria, to work with the companies doing road work and utility work, which is what we have there. We have the largest utility company here in New Jersey, Public Service, utilizing that space. Temporary stage up in that lot. They have made the property owner, as well as the people that are in there, have cleaned up the parking lot. They provided security fencing, as well as the owner has donated to our beautification fund, which we can use those funds to help dress up some of the areas in town as we deem fit. I continue to monitor, as does Mr. Di Maria, and they will be out in a reasonable amount of time. So I also shared that with the zoning board president, who's well aware of that. We received a grant. I know I spoke about this briefly. Dave Brown, our superintendent of public works, applied for a stormwater management grant. We received the first check, 2 parts of $25,000. We received a $15,000 check today. That'll be put aside. That's part of the digitizing of our stormwater drainage system that has to be done. It's one of the few times the state of New Jersey got it right. They actually funded a mandate rather than just contracting something. So I already spoke to Boswell in reference to that, and they retained close to what the cost of that work will be. So we have that money, so that's a good thing. I also want to extend my condolences. I know that obviously we spoke for last week, but again, to the fire department and to Mr. Covello's family, my sincerest condolences. I was a member with Mr. Covello down at the firehouse for a few years that I was down there. So again, I extend my personal condolences to them as well as the administrator and to the members of the fire department losing a brother. Also had a great conversation again with another fine, upstanding citizen growing up in our town that we should all be proud of, Mr. Pomeranko. My son's played with 2 Pomerancos. For his Eagle Scout, he's going to be building possibly 2 benches at that parcel of land down at the dead end of the Lexington and Rochelle, the Rochelle Park sign. So again, we look forward to working with him on that, as well as the last project I spoke about last meeting, the improvements to the old EMS building and surrounding landscape. I will meet with the CFO this upcoming week to discuss capital improvement and bonding of some projects we have. I have about $185,000 for the repairs that need to be done around this building, as well as down by the firehouse. We have several garage doors, garage door openers, sinking front door that have been neglected, as well as pumps that need to be removed and tanks that need to be removed from the DPW. So I will sit with the CFO, come up with an idea and a plan, and bring it back to this committee for the future. I think that's all I have, Mayor.
Let the record reflect that Mayor Paramasa is here and in attendance.
Okay. Woman Boniface?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending. I just want to remind everybody that the grass has started to grow. Time to mow. Don't risk a ticket from property maintenance looking at code book for information on this. It's 8 inches. The next hazardous waste day is June 11th. I put in community college. The next recycling event is June 3rd at Camp Philip in Mala. Sorry. This event is for paper shredding, electronics, computers, and tires. And I just want to thank, this is going to be hard to get out, but just want to thank the committee up here, the employees of the township, the police department, and you, chief, for all that was done for my family last week. We're still in disbelief, but I want to thank residents who came, and just the support from this town. That's what I know Roseville Park to do. Thank you.
Monthly report for April for police report. Motor vehicle crashes 50, total police department calls for service 1,139, total summons enforcement actions 399, motor vehicle stops 212, emergency medicals with 67, community outreach was 6, fire department responses 23, and total arrests was 12.
Thank you. Committeewoman Nartola?
Our annual flood awareness program will be on May 31st. Please attend and please spread the word. It is so important that our neighbors who live in the flood zone attend. My Wishaw Park Day, which is May 20th, residents can also go to the Office of Emergency Management tent, where members of the OEM and CERT will be available to answer questions and give out information. The American Legion Post 170 is hosting a fundraiser to combat veteran suicide. Statistically, 22 veterans commit suicide every day. They need our support. This event is this Saturday, May 13th, from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Admission is $10, and food will be available while it lasts. There will be live music, and T-shirts for the 22 veterans will be for sale. Congratulations to QRH2O on their grand opening. It was an honor to conduct the ribbon cutting ceremony with Deputy Mayor. I asked for a tour of this very unique business of providing purified water and alkaline water to their customers and learned all about their process. We wish this small family business much success in Wishaw Park. Last week on May 4th was International Firefighters Day. I am thankful to our Wishaw Park volunteer fire department. I've often said that firefighters is a misnomer because they do more than rushing into burning buildings. They attend to vehicle fires, floods, chemical spills, gas leaks, electrical emergencies, and more. Thank you for keeping us safe and for always being on call day or night whenever an emergency arises. I'd like to offer my condolences to Committeewoman Boniface for the loss of her brother Jimmy. Committeewoman, I was out of the state last week visiting family, so I was not able to attend the late funeral for him. So I now offer you my sincere condolences to you, your family, his friends, for your loss. I also want to offer condolences for the loss of our volunteer firefighter, Richard Cavallo, who served our community for many years. My sincere condolences to his family, his friends, and to the Circle Park Fire Department family. Since I share the faith of both these men, I pray the prayer of our shared tradition. Eternal rest granted them, the Lord, and perpetual light shine upon them, and the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. In your hands, O Lord, we humbly entrust our brothers. In His life we embrace them with tender love, deliver them now, and every evil and evil. In addition to May 4th being International Firefighters Day, it is also the National Day of Prayer. President Joe Biden issued a proclamation stating that on this National Day of Prayer, we recognize the profound power of prayer, gratitude, and humility and hope. He also added, in periods of peace and prosperity, and in times of struggle and strife, countless Americans turn to prayer to seek guidance, bolster our faith, and brace our spirits when we need it the most. Prayer is both a personal and communal act, composed of our most intimate thoughts and practice observed by multitudes across our diverse nation in every language, culture, religion, and belief system. He added that the right to pray is enshrined in our Constitution and stands firmly in the American tradition. We will never fully know how prayer has quietly influenced every aspect of American life, bringing comfort to our service members on the battlefield, guarding the spirits of astronauts in space, guiding the healing hands of medical professionals, and tending to our loved ones, and fortifying the faith and related to worship in the state of every foreign country.
Okay. For school updates, this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, May 8th through May 12th. This week, we celebrate, honor, and appreciate teachers for their contributions towards all of our students. So I'd like to thank all of our Midland School teachers this week for all that they continuously do for our children. Today, May 10th, 2023, is National School Nurse Day. I'd like to express our extreme gratitude and appreciation for all of her hard work and dedication for our students. School nurses play such an important role in our school community. So thank you to both all our teachers and our school nurse. For recreation, May 20th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Midland School, Recreation will be hosting their annual Rochelle Park Day. Recreation will also be hosting Family Movie Day, Sunday, June 11th at 1 p.m. at Hawthorne Movie Theater. The cost is $5 a person. Children 3 and under are free. This includes popcorn, soda, and the movie that will be shown will be the new Spider-Man movie. Recreation will also be hosting our first annual summer concert, which will be Epic Soul on June 29th at Carlock Field from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And we'd like to thank Committeewoman Boniface for the recommendation for the band. Summer registration is still going on online, so please go to the Township website under Recreation and click the SDL portal link to register your child. 2023 flag football Google form has been posted online. The official registration will be starting within the next month or so, I believe. And finally, camp counselor applications are still being accepted for our 2023 Recreation Summer Camp Program, and the applications are posted on the Township website. That's all.
For the court, in April, court revenues were $9,222.36. For the year, we are $8,286.85 ahead of last year in the court. Building, 31 permits issued. UCC inspections were 102. Total value of construction was $2,401,698. Permit fees collected, $37,984. Permit fees waived, $31,932. Zoning permits, $2,135. Zoning violations, 1. Continuing certificate of occupancy is $950. Property maintenance violations issued, 0. Complaints, 1. CCO inspections for $39. Total fees collected, $41,069. Year-to-date, total fees collected, $377,194. And on a personal note, I want to also send my condolences to Committeewoman Boniface. I knew Vinny my whole life. He was we go way back, he was my camp counselor. He, although he was older than the last 3 of us Moscow boys, he was like a brother to us. So we knew, Vinny well, and we loved Vinny, and he was a great guy, so sorry about it. And I also want to give my condolences to the Cavallo family and all the fire department for the loss of Rich Cavallo as well.
Okay. Can we make a motion for open the public portion?
Is there anything from the grounds? Anything inside?
I'll make a motion.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Committeeman Vassetti?
Yes.
Committeewoman Boniface?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pichi? Yes. Mayor Massa?
Yes.
Any member of the public would like to speak, come up and kindly state your name and your address. Kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Bob Davidson, Lexington Avenue. My condolences as well to firefighter. I know Richard a long time, obviously, to say the least. So to their family, you know, I saw you last week, but it's a shame when these things happen. Sometimes it really is a shock, you know, and it's sad to see, you know, a lot of these people who are like the stone, you know, the foundation of this town starting to go by the wayside. So, anyways, so saying that, and I don't mean to, so now I'm going to bring up something. 2 weeks ago, you passed a resolution referencing the Route 17 project that the township was no longer going to support that project. Is there a copy of the resolution? I haven't seen anything. Can you please? Because I'd like to see it. And what I'd like to know, it's been 2 weeks now, is wondering if anybody from the township has had any communication, whether it be written or verbal, with the county, and what's going on. I mean, what was their reaction if in fact there was a communication?
Chief, yeah, I have not had any direct conversation with the county. Right now, I'm still coordinating with how we want to go about and do that. We want to be lockstep with me, and you know, so I've had conversations with their administrator, speaking with the mayor, to provide them with two elected officials, and we'll meet with them and go from that point.
Okay, so the county is not aware of the fact that we did not support the project?
I mean, public resolution, I'm sure word has traveled that.
Okay, just like to know where it's going, and if we can please, you know, report on that in the future, greatly appreciated.
Katie Stair in West Oldest. I know we've spoken about it in the past, way long ago, about the community library opportunity that have been brought up by some of the people of the community, looking specifically again at Carlock Field, but because of some of the issues that we've had with kids down at Carlock Field, looking to potentially put that outside of the building here, and I haven't seen anything, so curious, especially hearing about the great projects that the Eagle Scout is working on, if that's something that is going to proceed, and if not, why? If it's a couple of kids who are causing issues, again, what are we doing with that problem, especially now that there are the cameras that are up? That was my one question, and then I thought I had another. Can't remember the other one.
So we are working on it. The Eagle Scouts cannot do it. We did approach the Eagle Scouts. It's not
Okay.
a big enough project for them. We did have a resident who offered to build it for us. So we're working on that. It cannot go at Carlock though. For the pure fact if they pick it up, they'll throw it and break a window. They'll destroy something down there. So the chief did say we can put it over here, and the library offered to put books in there for the kids.
Okay.
So that's probably where we'll put it. It's
Okay.
being monitored.
Okay.
Just for the pure fact that if they pick it up and throw it, they'll break a window, they'll break a door, they'll destroy something.
I mean, I'm sure that there's other ways that you can certainly secure it down there versus, I mean, how much foot traffic do you actually have to this area?
I don't know.
That it would actually be used and be useful to the community versus just having it right next to the library, which is, I mean, I totally get it because I've had issues.
They wanted
I've
a
also talked about
community-
donating it, so that's.
Yeah, they wanted to put a community, one of those little community libraries, the community library box up, but they wanted to put it by Carlock Field. And when we had discussed it, the prior administrator had said no, because he was afraid it would be, you know, something that could be picked up and damaged.
I understand the concern. I mean, I certainly understand the concern, but I would like to see something move forward with it and understanding that, and again, making sure that it's in a spot that's actually going to be utilized by the community and talked about, I think would certainly be beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss other areas to put it, if we don't want to put it, you know, we can explore that and see other places to put it.
Great. And then when it came, my other point was regarding the flag. super excited for you. I know that this is something that has been in the talks for the last few years. Understand the concern around having people come up with multiple flags and what happens if then and whatnot. I think that having it from a week standpoint is certainly beneficial when there are certain months that are crossed over. But I think that there's ways to work around it. So I'm super excited to see that this was something that was passed today versus something that was at a standstill again and not necessarily coming to a resolution. Understanding that there might be ways that I'm not sure how the board works out front. I thought that was a nice workaround potentially, but I'm super excited to see that. I think that there's definitely ways to come about it, and just saying no wasn't necessarily the step. So appreciate your time.
Diane Verhassel, it's not a question, I just want to comment on the libraries. When it was first brought up, the scouts said they would build them, but they don't have the budget to buy them. You can buy them online, they have all kinds of kits, even if you just go to Amazon or something, but they don't have the money set aside to buy them. So if the town decides to buy them, the boys will build them,
Okay.
just to let you know.
Jack discussed this when we visited.
Yeah, we can
Yeah, I
discuss it.
just let you know
Yeah.
that when they first came up, we said that we would do it.
I misunderstood you. I apologize.
Hello, Michael Warren, 181 West Oldham Street. Boy, does news travel fast in Rochelle Park. I'm from a small town myself, so sorry I wasn't here for the passing of raising the pride flag, but I do want to come and say, you know, this is something I've asked for before. I'm very proud that the Township Committee could get together across party lines and work something out. Is it perfect? No. I'm sure you guys will fine tune it, but I want to thank Ms. Boniface, I want to thank Ms. Apice and Mr. Bassetti for supporting that, especially in light of a lot of rhetoric that's on cable news lately or online about people who are, who are LGBTQ plus. So the fact that my town, the town I live in, the town my husband and I live in, want to stand and support, I think that's amazing. And if there's going to be some type of a raising, I'd like my husband and I to be there, and maybe some people from the community who want to come see it get raised, if that's a possibility, just to see it go up on the flagpole. We'd love to be there. So I think everyone here knows how to reach me. Just please keep that in mind. They all do. So I'm going to just leave my comment as a comment of appreciation, and for those who didn't consider it, I hope that they think about it or maybe pray about it, just because it is vital for our community to just show support for everyone, and I appreciate that. And I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm just saying this is something that was important to me, and that I just want to say thank you.
Mr. Warren, you weren't here.
Yes.
For the portion, but I did speak. My concern is about flags in general, and
I understand.
yes, I did also come up with ideas of maybe putting it on a signboard, some kind of compromise. It wasn't to shut out something that I know is close to your heart. It's just concern about other things. So
I understand.
but I was willing to come up with another idea, a creative idea.
I think, Gail, I think that shows.
I'm just telling you where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
We disagree on this.
That's okay.
But I was trying to come up with something compromisable. It's been voted on. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about what it could open up.
Okay. And I think that's something, that you guys will have to work on and further discuss about and work with the administrator on. So I know, Gail, it's not coming from any other place, but just a concern. So I'm going to tell you, I'm available to talk to whenever you want. I know we haven't seen eye to eye, and that's because of politics. That's true. But this is something important that's meant to bring people together, even people like you and I who may not agree on some fundamental things. So I'm willing to put that olive branch out and I'd be willing to meet with you or anyone to talk more further about it. So I do appreciate you saying that.
Creative ideas.
Yeah.
For an olive branch.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. Yes?
And we were raising it just, June 1st, happens to be my birthday.
Oh, God. It's not about you this time, Dean, not about you, no. We'll see. The gift is tonight, usually I come here with some questions, but tonight, I'm coming here to say thank you for that. Yes, that'd be great, just something small, doesn't have to be anything massive, but just so people can see it. I do appreciate that, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, can I make a motion to close?
Second. Committeewoman Ortola? Yes. Committeeman Cassetti?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bonneface? Yes. Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Mayor Mosker?
Yes.
We'll now move to closed session.
Yeah, for the public's benefit, there's going to be no formal action taken after closed session. In closed session, we will be discussing matters related to litigation, negotiations, attorney-client privilege, specifically regarding to a tort claim and a tax appeal settlement. Again, no formal action will be taken after closed session, so if you don't want to run, you won't miss it.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to close.
Motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor? Aye. I was actually cold and I started sweating. No, I don't like it.